Hey everyone, welcome to Living Pieces. I'm Ray, your host, and I'm so glad to have you all here. In this podcast episode, we are going to be talking about the building. What is the building? The building is us, and well, I'll get into that in a little bit. If you've been here before, you know that I recently released an episode talking about the mind, body, and soul and how we need to work, fix, and optimize these areas in order to attract success. So that podcast is up and available. So be sure to take a listen. And yeah, just to clarify, because in that podcast I said that the section 2 for the soul is visualize, but it's meant to be revitalize. So visualize was the working title until I came up with revitalize, just so you're aware. And yeah, in order, it's for the mind, it's declutter, educate, fortify. The body is fast, feed, exercise. And the soul is meditate, revitalize, energize. Do have a listen and be sure to share your thoughts. So, until today, I'm going to give you a breakdown of how I see the mind, body, and soul visually within my mind. And I hope that when I do, you would get an image of how important they are and why we need to optimize all areas. So first up, we are all three. We are the mind, the body, and the soul. However, that's both true and false. For you see, we are the soul that comes to earth and is given a mind and a body. I'm going to use the building as the analogy. You are a building, the whole building. There are 3 components in this building. Floor 3D, if you catch my drift, or floor 1 is the body. Floor 4D, or the elevator, is the mind, and floor 5D, or floor 3, is the soul. The elevator is its own floor, but fluctuates between floor 1 and floor 3. You know how the elevator can get stuck between floors? It's not 1, it's not 3, so it's 2. So in a way, it becomes its own floor by combining the other floors. And so you have 3 floors or 3 planes of existence. The elevator has the ability to travel up and down the floors, and the job of the elevator is to transport things from floor to floor. It is the bridge between all floors and it delivers information. So your mind is the bridge between the body and the soul. Your mind travels up to floor 3 when the soul is speaking, then travels down to floor 1 and passes the information to the body. However, for many people, they forget that there's a whole floor up there and they think that there's only floor 1. From time to time, on certain occasions, they think they hear something upstairs, and sometimes they go and investigate and discover floor 3 is up there and there's someone talking. So they pass the information on and all is well. But then months go by and they forget about floor 3 because the elevator is so stationary for so long, it misses its service check, if you will. So the next time they hear a faint whisper or a faint voice, when they try and investigate, the elevator moves in a sluggish manner. Remember, the elevator is also its own floor. So from time to time, people take things from floor 1 and chuck it into the elevator. Because it's been so stationary for so long, it's become its own room, if you will. Again, when they hear that voice and try and go up to investigate, the elevator is so sluggish, it's heavier, and sometimes it gets stuck between floors. So they get to the state where they hear things from floor 1 and they hear things from floor 3, but they can't pass the information to either of them because they're stuck with the doors closed. However, when they finally manage to get to floor 3 is like, hey, here, we have something to give you that can help you with floor 1. Then the elevator is like, sure, pass it over. Then floor 3 looks at the state of the elevator and is like, are you sure? And the elevator is like, yeah, give it here. So floor 3 passes information to the elevator, and after what seems like 5 years, the elevator finally reaches floor 1 and the doors open. The elevator is like, hey, I've got something to give you. It's from floor 3. And floor 1's like, okay, sure, great. What is it? And then the elevator is like, wait, just a sec. Let me look around. And it's searching and looking, and it's struggling to find that thing. And then the thing is, floor 1 needs whatever that information is to help them with their current situation. The elevator says, oh, I can't seem to find it. Let me go back up to floor 3 and get a new one. So it goes up. It takes another 5 elevator years to get up there. And when the door opens, it tells floor 3, hey man, I lost that piece of information. Can you give me another one, please? And then floor 3 is like, well, I did ask if you were sure you could deliver the information. And you said yes. And then the elevator is like, well, yeah, but floor 1 keeps giving me loads of things and the elevator is full. I'll keep it safe this time. Trust me. So floor 3 gives the elevator the information and it goes back down, well, taking another 5 elevator years. That's now 15 elevator years that have gone by to give floor 1 this piece of information. When it gets down there, again, there's a struggle to find that information and it's rummaging and looking. But luckily, after what seems like another 5 elevator years, it finds the information and gives it to floor 1. Floor 1 says, this isn't the whole thing. This is fragments. Where's the rest of it? And the elevator is like, it's in here somewhere. But there's just too much stuff. I can't seem to dig it out. Give me a moment. And sometimes it's lucky and it does. And sometimes, well, it might have to go up to floor 3 and get a whole new piece of information. So we can definitely add more to that analogy because it represents our life and it represents the different components within it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the explanation of this analogy and I'm going to break it down further for you so you can understand this in a better way. So what happened was the elevator, which is our mind, got comfortable living on floor 1. The elevator, remember, it's its own floor, but just likes to chill on floor 1. And at the beginning of the story, the elevator would hear voices on floor 3, whiz up there, and come back down to floor 1. So this is symbolic of our childhood, because the elevator, our mind, wasn't so cluttered. It was easier to receive information and receive messages from our soul and pass it on to the body. So maybe as a child, you had so many spiritual gifts. You would get messages from the upper floors or the upper realms. Use it on floor 1 and all will be well. By the way, remember, you are the building. And the body is floor 1. The first floor is where the main entrance to the street is. So the street is also an extension of floor 1 or the 3D, known as Earth. That's how you communicate with other buildings. But that's a whole nother analogy and that's a whole nother story. So back to it. You could receive messages from floor 3, pass it down to floor 1 and use it. And that was amazing. But then as time went on, the elevator forgot about floor 3 because of the demands of floor 1. So it just stayed chilling on floor 1. This is symbolic of us getting disconnected from our soul. We know it's there, it's always there, but we've forgotten about it. So when floor 1 begins dealing with things, maybe, people entering the building of floor 1 communicating, maybe you go out to other people's buildings and you bring things back from their building to your building and you bring them back to floor 1. Then floor 1 is like, yo, elevator, check this out. So it runs and shows the elevator this new dress it bought, or this new like it got on social media, or a photo of someone it likes, a crush or something. And because the elevator is just chilling, it seems like it's out of use. Floor one is like, here, keep hold of this for me. This is symbolic of how we feed our body, the food we eat, the people we surround ourselves with, the things we engage with as we get older, the communities we are part of, life, just everything in general. They start to take up space in the body and in the mind. You fill your mind to the brim that one day you get into a situation. Floor 3 is monitoring all of this, by the way, and sees everything. It also notices that something isn't quite right. So it starts talking, pressing that call button for the elevator to come up. The elevator's like, oh, I hear something. I hear a voice, So it tries to go up to floor 3, but gets stuck halfway. This is symbolic of how our minds get so full that when we try and reach our soul, it seems like no one's there. It seems like we hear faint whispers. We may get a dream, but we wake up. Everything is foggy. We can't remember anything. It's like our mind is in this in-between state, both in the body, or floor 1, and the soul, or floor 3. So all the information it receives from both sides is murky and hard to decipher. Even when it does make it to floor 3 and it tries to receive the information, it gets lost amongst the things of the mind. By the way, it's not to say there aren't useful things in that elevator or in your mind, but it's to say that the elevator is full and certain things needs to be thrown out in order to create room. This is known as emptying our mind and letting go of all things that no longer serve us. This helps to create enough space for both the body and the soul. So when the mind gets information from the soul and brings it to the body, the information goes missing if our mind is full. This is symbolic of when we dream and then we wake up, we can't remember the dream. It's somewhere inside of us, but we don't have access to it. It's like it's locked up and we can't find it. So the mind tries again. It goes to the soul gives the mind the information, and the mind goes back to the body. In the story, the mind was able to retrieve the information after digging for a little while. But in the story, it took 5 elevator years going up and down, 15 in total, to do so. This is symbolic of how when we are going through a situation and the answer is right there to help us fix our issue, we can't hear it, we can't find it, we can't see it, because the connection between the soul and the mind is so weak. So because of that, it takes 5 years, 10 years, 15, 30 years to fix a problem that could have been solved in about a year or less, maybe quicker, And in that time, the mind is going back and forth for many years, each time giving the body fragmented information. Finally, one day, all the pieces are there and it's able to solve the problem. But how much time has passed? Can you relate to that? Having a problem, having an issue, and knowing that the answer is there somewhere, but it's locked deep inside of you. And so time has passed, year in, year out. Things have happened, things that you could have solved or avoided. But because your mind was so full, you couldn't hear the soul speaking. You couldn't hear the guidance that it had to give. Can you relate to that? Because that's how some people are living their life right now. That's how they are. They're going through something, a current situation right now, looking for help from somewhere. And their soul is like, yo, I can help you. I can help you. And your soul's internal. So they're going to external factors, external things, external people, trying to solve an issue that they can solve themselves, that's within them. Yeah. This story is here to show you that you are all three. You are the mind, the body, and the soul. Your mind is the bridge between your body and your soul. But when your mind is cluttered by the things of the world or things of the body, it's hard to hear what the soul has to say, which, our soul is the true essence of who we are. So another way you can think of it is that like your soul, the true essence of who you are, is the executive director. And the executive director decided to employ the body to carry out its work, and it created the mind to pass the information across to the body. The executive director wanted to experience life so it could learn, expand, grow, feel, and have fun. You know? So what it did was it chose an avatar known as the body. It employed it to help it experience things. However, what happened was the body wanted to do its own thing. It forgot that it was still part of the executive director. And so the influences of life, the excitement, the fact that it was intrigued by life or the problems of life, the community, the culture, everything to do with the external, made it forget about the executive director. And again, I keep saying it, but remember, you are the building. So you are the executive director as well as the employees, the body and the mind. But the executive director is the ultimate you, who employed the mind and the body as its own for the meantime, whilst it's here on earth, if you will. The executive director also knows all things. You know, it knows everything, but that could get really complicated if I go down that path. So let's just leave it there for now. And another analogy, there's so many analogies that you can use to help you understand this idea of the soul, the mind, and the body. And another one, which is one of my favorites, and hopefully it helps you again understand this concept a bit better if the other two hasn't already. It's known as like the game analogy. I've spoken about it before, but for new listeners, I'll tell it again. So when you think of a game, you are the ultimate controller that chooses an avatar, and the controller or the pad in your hand is the mind. You move the pad to control the avatar. So the pad does the controlling, but you control the controller or the pad. In other words, the controller does the controlling, but you control the controller. I'll say that again. The controller does the controlling, but you control the controller. And many people forget that they control the controller. So it seems like the controller is the one doing the controlling. Woo! If you stuck with me there, yeah, you're a real one. So you, the soul, controls the mind, which is also you, but like the second version of you, which controls the body, again, also you, but the third version of you. And thus you have an experience here on earth. But if there's a disconnect between the soul and the mind, this is when the ego takes over and the mind takes over and does what it wants to do. And sometimes the mind doesn't, lead with compassion like the soul would. It only focuses on itself. It sees what the body can do, it sees what the world is like, and it wants a piece of the action for itself. However, the mind is limited, and when it runs into issues, it doesn't know what to do. So it does its best, but even when it does that, it can end up creating more problems for itself down the line. So ultimately, what you need to take from this is that you exist on 3 planes of existence. You exist on the 3D, the 4D, and the 5D. You are the soul, but you have a body and a mind. The mind connects all aspects of you, and all aspects are important. The mind is the connector. The body lets you experience through your senses, and the soul guides and leads because it can see all things. The soul knows the best course of action to take if you want to experience a peaceful and desirable life. When you can view yourself as the building and not the mind, body, or soul, you will be able to integrate all aspects of you to do whatever it is that you need to do in this lifetime. You'll be able to know that there's no separation, and in fact, they are all you and they are all useful. And they all do different things and are all important. So then you can then use each aspect of you to create the life you desire. You'll be able to simultaneously use the mind to receive guidance from the soul and pass the information to the body. And the body will experience things. It will be like the elevator being stuck between floor 1 and 3, but the difference is it chose to be there, with the doors open on both floors, whereas before the doors were closed and it was hearing muffles from each floor. So the information will be able to flow through the mind easily because it's not cluttered with the things of the body and the outer world. This is the goal. This is how you experience life to the fullest. This is how you enjoy your time on earth and attract success, abundance, love, joy, and peace to you. If these 3 are in misalignment, this is how you go through life sluggishly, in pain, dissatisfied, depressed, anxious, worried, scared, fearful, hateful, you name it, all of it. This is how you go through those, what you would call negative emotions, if those things are not in alignment. Because you can't bring the guidance in to help you have an easier or let your life flow better. If you want to experience success, abundance, love, joy, and peace, you need to optimize and align these 3 areas. Hence why I created the success formula. And I gave you the steps you need to take in order to optimize the 3 areas and the 9 sections. The 3 areas being, the soul, the mind, the body. So I will admit it's a lot, but you're not expected to change overnight. You have to work at each piece at your own pace. You have to have the time to focus on you. Basically, you have to choose you. You know what I mean? You have to be able to know that these areas are important. Well, I hope that this analogy has shown you that. Has shown you that these areas are important. Has shown you why they're important. Because they all do different things, but they're all parts of you. Your body is the one that experiences through your senses, through the things you touch, through the people you speak to, through the way you live your life. Your mind is the one that thinks the things, thinks your thoughts. The thing that is able to take on the information from the body, and through your memories, you can go back and be like, oh, that experience that the body had with so and so doing such and such was such an amazing experience, or was such an awful experience. And so it catalogs it and keeps it within the mind. And then the soul is the guidance, is the one that said, oh, I'm coming to earth to be a problem breaker, as in like a problem solver. I'm coming to earth to be the one that breaks the cycle within my bloodline and within my generation. I'm coming to earth to fix this issue with this person. I'm coming to earth to know how to live life and experience abundance and be rich and be wealthy and be successful. I'm coming to earth to do X, Y, and Z. It could be so many different things. And so the soul maps out, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. When I'm 5, I'm probably going to meet this person. When I'm 10, this is going to happen. When I'm 16, this is going to be the thing that I go to. This is going to be the place that I go to. When I'm 18, this might be the college or the uni that I end up venturing down. This is the course that I'm going to do. So that if I do this course, then I'll be able to do this, that, and the third. The soul is your guidance. But what happens is when there's a disconnect, it's like the roadmap has been taken away from you. Or, so the body forgets, and the body's like, it does its own thing. The mind and the body do their own thing because they forget about the soul. They forget about the roadmap that they had listed out. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But it's like you could have avoided certain things if you were with your soul. Or if you didn't avoid that thing, it might be because your soul said, actually, I want to go through this so that I can learn, grow, become better, become more advanced, become more expanded. So when it does go through that thing, at least it could still have the guidance, if that makes sense. Like it still knows the way that you should go to be able to experience this problem or situation in a way that will be to your highest good. But what happens again is when people are disconnected from their soul, everything just goes array. Everything just goes all over the place. They don't know what's going on. It just happens as it is. And they could have done certain things in a certain way. So that's the analogy of the building. To let you understand that you are all three. You are the building. All aspects of the building is you. All aspects of the building is you. And ultimately, you are the soul. You are the executive director. But when the mind decides to disconnect and do its own thing, known as the ego, when it decides to go in its own path, that's how you run through certain issues, or you go through certain things and then you don't know what to do. And then when you try now access the soul, or the soul is trying to speak to you, you can't access it. It tries to speak to you in your dreams, visions, maybe angel numbers, maybe this, maybe that, and the third, maybe through other people. Maybe it gets to a point where the soul is actually communicating with somebody else, like another person, to be like, yo, I'm trying to get through to the mind. I'm trying to get through to the body, but they're not listening to me. Can you help me? Can you talk to them? Can you, so then people show up in our lives. And the people that show up in our lives are like, hey, I have a message for you. I have something to give you. I'm trying to give you this guidance because the soul's trying to connect to you, but you're not listening. Just food for thought, something to consider and ponder on. But yeah, you need to work at each piece at your own pace. You need to work at the body, you need to work at the mind and declutter certain things. Because when you declutter, I said it in the other podcast, but when you declutter, you're able to have space to have more things to come through, like beneficial things. You can then educate your mind and then fortify it to make it stronger, so you don't go back to your whole old way of living, your old lifestyle, your old patterns. So yeah, if you need guidance or someone to help motivate you, then you can reach out to me. If you've listened to this and the awareness has come through that, wow, okay, I feel a little bit disconnected to my soul. Sometimes I get dreams and visions and this, that, and the third, but I can't always seem to make out what it's saying. I miss certain things. How can I get better? How can I get stronger? Okay, cool. Well, I'm here to guide you if you need that. I'm here to give you different activities and different methods and different things that you can do and implement within your life that will make that connection stronger. I like to think of it like a rope or like a string. Each time you stop using your soul to help guide you, that string or rope becomes thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. Which is why the connection, the currents, the electrical pulses that runs down, the soul trying to pass you information, it's so weak. So you need to build that connection up again. Like you need to build it like you will build a relationship between you and somebody else. And for that relationship to be stronger, you need to do the work. I did give the breakdown in the other podcast episode. But if you want me to guide you further, you want me to speak to you about it or make something that's more tailored to your situation and things that you're going through, then yeah, reach out to me and I'll be able to help you. Like, this is why we're here, to help each other, because we are living pieces together, creating a masterpiece, right? So yeah, reach out if you need to. Make 2024 the year that you choose yourself. Make this year be the year that you integrate all aspects of you so you can attract the life that you want. I wish you all the success in the world. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions at all, do reach out. Okay? Okay, my loves. Until next time, stay blessed, don't stress, and I will catch you after the test. Bye!